So what you can see on the screen at the moment is a page from the NRF website, which tells us that at the moment there are 4,679 rated researchers. Now, given that there are more or less 55,000 academics in the public higher education system, this equates to about 8%. So about 8% of academics are rated researchers. And you'll hear more about the different levels of rating because there's rating available at all stages of one's career. Personally, those of you who know me and my own research will know that I have certain qualms about the idea of rating people as individuals. And certainly, even in my own rating process, I have spent quite a bit of time in the narrative arguing for why it's so important to work collaboratively, to publish collaboratively. And because, often reviewers might say, oh, you don't have a whole lot of single author publications, is just one example. So I think that there are reasons to be fairly critical of the idea of recognizing and rewarding people as individuals. But I think that there are spaces in the system to talk back and to create a narrative that benefits the values that you hold dear. And certainly I've worked hard at doing that in my own applications. And the bottom line for me, which is a very pragmatic one, is that it gives me a chunk of cash. And thanks to Rhodes University, we don't only get that chunk of cash in the year that we are rated, which is the case, the NRF only gives the funding in a year. Rhodes matches that funding every year in your cycle. So it means that every year I have a chunk of money to pay some students' fees and so on, and to use it for attending conferences. At the NRF actually have more strict rules around how you can use that money than Rhodes does, but it means that you can use it to the benefit of the things you believe in. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Monyela. Thank you, Jelka, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and we look forward to your insights. Sanazo, you want to say something?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to Jelka. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I did not know that. Thank you for telling us, Sanazo. We hope that this is not a horrible way to spend your birthday. We hope that we are an appreciative audience of your time. And thank you so much for spending some of your birthday time with us. Thanks, Jelka. And I don't know if you've got a screen you want to share. You need to unmute. And if you would like to share your screen, please feel free to do so.
Okay, morning, colleagues. Yeah, it's my birthday today. I'm 37 years younger. So
wow. Yeah. Well, for some of us, that's very, very young indeed. So enjoy it.
So I will share my screen. I'm not sure if you can be able to see it on your side.
Yes, we can see it.
Slideshow. Okay, is it fine? Is it on the slideshow?
No,
so
I'm still seeing it as slides. Okay. If you just click presentation view there, it should come right below that.
Beginning.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
That's it. Perfect.
Okay, Jelka Monyela, the professional officer for NRF Rating. So I've been doing NRF Rating from 2016 until today. So basically, my focus was mainly on NRF Rating application and internal screening process. And then after that, the reviews and evaluation team were doing the reviews. And then after they're done with the reviews, I was taking over the incentive funding. But that has changed since June this year where we'll be doing the process from the start to finish. So meaning that all your application, the application process, the internal screening, the reviews, and the granting. So I'll be involved from the beginning to the end, because now we are having what they call end-to-end in the NRF, where you start with the process and see it through until it is complete. So this is just a little bit of my biography. I've started NRF in 2012 as an intern, and then after that, I was a liaison officer doing international relations and cooperations, focusing on Africa bilaterals, multilateral, SADC, and AU programs. And then after that, 2016, I was a professional officer at Grant Management and System Administration. As I've already mentioned, that doesn't exist now after the NRF restructuring. This is just the NRF vision, which is research for a better society. So I will not go much on the NRF itself. I will just dive directly into the rating process. So the rating system was established in 1984. So it's actually older than the NRF, because the NRF started in 1999, which is 25 years now. But the rating system has been in existence in the FRD time. So when the NRF exists, and then it found rating existing. So in the nutshell, the rating system is older than the NRF. So as I've already mentioned, that it started in 1984. So this year it's 40 years of proven excellence. And then it was before the NRF, which the NRF started in 1999. And we are celebrating 25 years this year. Why is the rating process important? The rating system.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you to just change the mode that you're sharing in? Maybe just close it and restart it, because I didn't realize when I said click presenter view that it was going to show presenter view on our screens, which means the slides are very small and I see a few people battling to read them. So if you would mind just escaping and clicking on from current slide. Oh, okay.
Okay.
There we go. If you click on from current slide, it should be a full screen. Let's see. That's it. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Thank you. No problem. So why is the rating system so important? The system was developed on the sound principle that the research support in the university should be based on identify the most important to the scarcest element in good research. So the other thing why rating is important, it helps you to gauge the strengths of the SA science system, the proxy for research excellence, the prestige, and to promote the brand of the high education institutions. So most of the high education institutions, they also use their rating to gauge themselves among others. And they also use it as a proxy for a performance of research excellence. And then rating is also important because it helps you to access the high end of funding, of which when you are rated in the NRF, we have an incentive funding, which is really not much. We also have a competitive program for rated researchers where you put your own proposal and your own budget, and that program it's specifically for the people that are rated. And we also have researchers where you cannot be a researcher unless you are rated. So your rating is also important for your career path development, especially for the emerging researchers to receive the feedback which may assist in your career path. So when you get your rating, you also get your feedback from the reviewers and the specialist committee that your application was evaluated, and this is how the reviewers has seen your work, and these are the recommendations from your reviewers, from the reviewers. So that itself can help you, especially for the emerging researchers, to know where to improve in order to be an established researchers. And the rating also has recognition and rewards for a diverse contribution. And then it also promotes productivity, that if you are an established, you will want to maintain your status and improving your level of research excellence. So some institutions, I don't know about Rhodes, also uses the NRF rating for promotions. Who can apply for a rating? Everyone that must be based in South African research institutions. So basically, this doesn't mean that if you are abroad, you cannot apply for a rating. You can still apply for a rating, even if you are abroad, for as long as you are affiliated with NRF research institution.
Nothing to do with
So you should be a permanent full-time researcher, or you should be on a fixed term contract, full-time or part-time active researcher with notable track record in research and postgraduate student supervision. And then also, even if you are retired and still affiliated with NRF recognized institutions, you can still apply. It doesn't mean that if you are now above 65 or 70, whichever year you retire on, it means that it is done with rating. You can have a rating for as long as you are still alive and still affiliated with a research institution, like your Professor Emeritus, you can still apply for a rating. You can also apply for a rating if you are a person who are in the process of being appointed. Let's say you are going to be appointed on the 1st of March 2025, and the rating call closes on the 15th of February 2025. You can still apply, but in that case, the research office has to write a motivation that you are going to be appointed from the 1st of March. So when you get your rating, you will be appointed at the university. Like I've already said, that the research institution has to motivate your application. And in order for you to apply, you must have a PhD. We have different types of rating category, which is your A, B, C, P, and Y. And then for A-rated researcher, these researchers, they are internationally leading scholars. So the researchers who are equivocally recognized by their peers as international leading scholar in their field. So in this case, all the reviews that review your application should concur that you are actually a leading international scholar in your field. So when the specialist committee are reading the review report, it should say that this person is international leading scholar in order for you to get an A rating. And then we have A1 and A2, which are subcategories. For an A1, a researcher in this group should be recognized by all evaluators as a leading scholar. So all evaluators should agree that you are indeed a leading a scholar in your field. So for A2, a researcher in this group is recognized by the overriding majority of evaluators as an international leading scholar in their research field. So we have B category, which is also an established researcher category. In this, for a B, it's a researcher who enjoys considerable international recognition by their peers. So in this case, there are some that are recognizing you as an international, you enjoy a international recognition in order for you to get a B. So there's some sort of international recognition in order for you to get a B. So in the subcategories B1, B2, and B3, for a B1, all evaluators are firmly convinced that the applicant enjoys considerable international recognition for the high quality and impact of their recent research outputs, with some of them indicating that he is a leading international scholar in the field. For a B2, 70 to 80% of evaluators are firmly convinced that the applicant enjoys a considerable international recognition. And for a B3, most, which is 50% of the evaluators, are convinced that the applicant enjoys a considerable international recognition in their field. And then we have a C category, which is also an established research category. For a C, you are established with a sustained record of productivity and engagement with their field. And your peers are recognizing you as having produced a body of quality work coherence that attests to ongoing productivity engagement in the field. And you should demonstrate the ability to conceptualize problem, apply research method, and investigate the problems. So in this case, we also have subcategories, which is your C1, C2, C3. Also in this case, the only difference with the Bs is that the B is international, considerable international recognition. And for a C is that all evaluators are convinced that the applicant is an established researcher. So almost everyone should agree that this person, they are established in their field. For a C2, apart from single evaluator raising some minor concern, all other evaluators should firmly be convinced that you are indeed an established researcher. And for a C3, most of the evaluator should concur that the applicant is an established researcher. And then we have an emerging researcher category, which is your Y and your P. So for a Y category, the researcher in this field should be 40 years or younger by the closing date. So now the call closes on the 15th of February, 2025. So it means if you are born on the 14th of February, 1985, or then you are 40 by closing date. But if you are born on the 17th of February, 2025, you are still less than 40 years by the closing date. And then you can apply, you can qualify for a Y category. So other people ask that, okay, I'm 40 years. So if I'm less than 40 years, does that mean that automatically I will be placed on Y? The answer to that question is no. you are not placed on Y category mainly because of your age. You are placed on Y category because of your age and your research outputs. So this means that if you are above 40 years and then you are still emerging, then it's rating unsuccessful. But if you are less than 40 years and then the evaluator says this person is still emerging and then it can be established in future and what and you are still younger than 40 years, then you will go for a Y. But doesn't mean that if you are 40 years and then the review says this person is an established researcher, then because you are 40 years or younger, then you will get a Y. No, you can apply while you are less than 40 years and still get A, B, or C. And then you should have a qualification, your PhD, you should be less than 5 years by the time you apply. And then in this category, you are recognized as having potential to establish yourself as a researcher. And then it's also based on the performance and productivity of quality research outputs during your doctoral studies or postdoctoral careers. In this category, we have Y1 and Y2. For a Y1, a younger researcher within 5 years from PhD who is recognized by all evaluators as having potential to establish themselves as a researcher, with some of them indicating that the applicant has a potential to become a future leader in the field. Y2, a researcher in this group is recognized by all or the overriding majority of evaluators as having the potential to establish themselves as a researcher. Then we have a P category. P category, we don't have PY, P1, P2, or P3. It's just a P. So P category is also for emerging researcher, but other people ask that, is it a P because of the age or not? Yes, age does count, but it doesn't, like Y, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you are 35, you get a C. You can get a Y, you can get a, you can get B or C. You can get anything depending on what the evaluators are evaluating your work. Also, in this case, you should have your PhD, which is less than 5 years. And then the researcher in this category is a researcher that has basis of exceptional potential and demonstrated their published doctoral work and their research outputs on their early postdoctoral career and are considered most likely to be a future international leaders in the field. So in most cases, the people that get a P rating, they normally get the B or A rating on their re-evaluation. And then when to apply for the NRF rating call. The NRF rating call normally opens September, October, but this year it opened on the 6th of November 2024. It opened 2 weeks ago. So it normally opens for 5 months. So you can understand the time period that it opens. So when it opens for 5 months, you will be surprised that a lot of people start applying closer to the closing date. And when they apply closer to the closing date, I'm the one that is dealing with all the system queries, the system problems, and whatnot. And it's difficult to deal with everyone at a short space of time. So the sooner you start is the more I can be able to assist you. I'm open to do quick Zoom calls with all the applicants that experiences problems with the system. So you can imagine if everyone has the problem in one day. I can't accommodate everyone, and then a lot of people will be frustrated. So I also don't take December leave. I normally take my leave in Easter because when I take the December leave and the call is open, then it means people are frustrated. I'm only closing when the NRF is closed, which is around the 24th to the 2nd of January. I'm also open to WhatsApp if someone wants to ask me something quickly on WhatsApp. I also have those options for as long as you don't abuse it, then we are fine. The call will closes on the 15th of February, as I've already mentioned, and then the DA closing date will be on the 28th of February. It will close on the 14th of February because the 15th it's a Saturday. So it will closes on the 15th or the 14th of February at 4:30. So the reason it closes at 4:30 is that when it closes at 12 in the morning, then on the second day when I come to the office, then I get around close to 30 emails saying I had a problem at 12 o'clock when I wanted to submit the application. Then we are left in a very awkward situation because now there's nothing that we can do because it was a system problem. And then by the time we had system problem, I was not in the office to assist. So the call will closes 4:30 by end of business so that I can be able to deal with everyone that might have a system problem. Then, as I've already mentioned, that we have a time where people are applying in numbers. So most of the people apply, I think, during December holidays. That is still fine because I can still assist. But the system, NRF system closes on the 14th of February, but you should check with your research office, Sinazo, on their internal closing date because the 14th of February is the NRF closing date. But I think all the institutions have their own internal closing date. And then we have the panel meetings that are posted on the NRF website. So if you remember, we have disciplines, different disciplines. So your colleague in chemistry might have their outcome earlier, while biochemistry, you might get your outcomes 2 months later. Like, for example, the evaluation for this year, because we have new people, I'm also new to the reviews. Though I was familiar with the whole process, I've never physically done it, though I know how to do it. So I'm doing plant science and public health. So because I'm still new and still want to learn from the people that have been there all along on how they're doing it, because I know the how part on paper, but I haven't done the actual work. So the law panel is taking place today, but my plant science panel will take place in January. So that's why the results doesn't come out at the same time. Then the eligibility criteria, it's there on the system, but I've also mentioned the eligibility criteria on the presentation. So we have different types of application. We have new applicants, we have re-evaluation by invitation, we have re-evaluation and special re-evaluation. So new applications, it's when you've never applied for a rating before. This is your first time sitting down and putting a rating application. Then you should tick new application on the system. Or if you have applied and withdrawn, your rating never went to the reviews. Then we have re-evaluation by invitation. Re-evaluation by invitation, the rating is valid for 6 years. Re-evaluation by invitation, it's when on the 5th year, you get an invitation to reapply. So you reapply while your rating is still valid. Then by the time your current rating expires, then you have a new rating the following year. The year under review, it's in the last 8 years, which is 1 January 2017 to 31 March 2024. Then we have re-evaluations. Re-evaluation, it's when you had a rating and then your rating lapsed, you didn't respond to the invitation, and you had a period where you didn't have a rating, then you apply as a re-evaluation. Or if you applied and you got a rating unsuccessful, then when you get a rating unsuccessful, you apply after 3 years. And then we have a special re-evaluation. Special re-evaluation is when you have a rating, then 3 years later you feel like, no man, I think I've done a lot in this 3 years and I can't wait to reapply in the next 6 years. Then I want to go for re-evaluation. Then you will apply for a special re-evaluation. But for the special re-evaluation, your institution has to highly recommend your application that, oh, okay, indeed, this person has established themselves and they can move from C to B and don't want to wait for the 6 years because they've done a lot in 3 years. This is just the rating duration. All the applications are done on NRF Connect. Please take note of that. It's NRF Connect. It's no longer NRF online submission. We have a new system, which is NRF Connect. All the applications are done on NRF Connect. And then these are just the document that you need to read before you start your application is the eligibility criteria, but I've already mentioned that the benchmarking document, the CIR, the considerable international recognition, guideline for scoring, guideline for selection of reviewers, key areas and types of research outputs, and then statement on ethical research and scholarly publishing practices. These are really not compulsory, but it's always good to read something before you start applying for a rating. And then this is just a few steps for your when you apply for a rating. Please, when you apply for a rating, you don't have to wait for a rating to open before you apply for a rating. Okay, but now the rating is already opened. Then you need to update your CV on the system. Before you do anything, please update your CV on the system. For those that haven't used the new system, you use your register with your ORCID ID. And the best part is that you can import your publications from the ORCID or Scopus into the NRF system. So if you have used the NRF online submission before, the good part is that you don't have to start everything from the scratch. You can just sync your old CV from the NRF submission into the new system, but you should remember your previous login details. If you don't remember them, you can just drop me an email. I will gladly assist. Then step 2, you create and complete all the rating specific field. The specific field on the system, you will see them by the red asterisk. So if all the the sections that have red asterisk, it means it's compulsory to complete, and you cannot submit your application unless these sections are completed. So you should select your best research outputs. So I should emphasize on the step 3. Because the reason I'm emphasizing this is that when myself and the team are doing the internal screening, this is the part that we look at besides the eligibility criteria. We'll look at the eligibility criteria that, oh, okay, this person is eligible. Most of the time, the institution do look at that as well. So with the eligibility criteria, it's really not much of a transmission because a lot of people that apply are eligible. So the mistake that a lot of people do here, some people do here, is that they will select their best 5 nicely, but attach the attachment that are not matching what they have selected. So if you selected your best 5, please make sure that whatever you attached match with your best 5. Because otherwise, with the new system, at least on the old system, I was able to open the application for amendment. I could call you that, you know what, your application has a mistake. I'm opening it for 12 hours. Can you please fix and resubmit? So unfortunately, on the new system, I don't have that functionality. The only functionality that I have is to tick not eligible. And then your application doesn't go to the review. Please double check, triple check this section before you submit your application. Because if, let's say 4 matches and then 1 attachment doesn't match, it's not eligible. Please reject. So it will say rejected by the professional officers. And it's quite sad to reject the rating applications because there are people that we invite them to apply for a rating. Then imagine if we invited you to apply and then we end up rejecting your application because the output was not matching. So please, 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 please make sure that you attach the correct attachment. Make sure that you add your own contribution, because even if you don't add your own contribution, it's going to be rejected. Make sure that you also add your motivation. So this section is very, 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 very important, because even on the review template, this is what we mostly tell the reviewers to look at. So that's why I said something that is not correct.
Jelka, I wonder if I can interrupt you. I'm watching the time go by. I wonder if I can ask you to wrap up so that we can move on to Chrissy. Sorry to do this to you, especially on your birthday.
Oh, okay, no problem. And then you should select your primary panel and reviewers. And then, okay, I will pass on the spreadsheet because I think we've already done this. And then this is just the process, which is we open the call, you submit. When you submit, it goes to the institution, it comes to the NRF, we do the screening. After the screening, we take it to the reviews, peer review. After peer review process is the panel. Then after the panel is the outcomes. Then for the A's and P's, they goes to the EEC, which is Executive Evaluation Committee, just to check if the A in chemistry is the same A in law. Then we communicate the outcomes. If you are not happy, then we start with the appeal process. Then this is just the facts about the rating process, of which I think I've already mentioned this. And then I think I've also touched on this one. And then this is just what the reviewers on the review report do. They should sign the confidentiality, assurance of no conflict of interest, confirmation of having read all the relevant materials, and do the declaration. And then the research assessment is the appraisal of your research outputs in the last 8 years, the estimation of the applicant current standing, and the recommendation for the future development of research. So the evaluators don't suggest a rating. You get a rating based on what their language says on your report. Yeah, thank you.